Hey, welcome back to Archi Hacks, and in today's video we'll be talking about some of the most common mistakes you might make in your portfolio. So for the past few months, we've been receiving a lot of portfolio review requests, and thank you so much for sharing your personal and beautiful work with us. Portfolio in architecture is probably the most important piece of evidence that you are capable of doing a certain job or being able to keep up with a certain curriculum for a school. So it's natural that we want to invest a lot of time into a portfolio and make sure that it is the best representation of ourselves. There's definitely no right answer in design, but we've found some common patterns that could immediately make a big difference in one's portfolio. So the number one tip is to think about portfolio as a design exercise of its own. You've worked hard on these projects, so you want to make sure that they are shown in the best light possible. And this is in part due to the fact that presentation is such an integral part of architectural profession. Whether you're at work or at school, you constantly make presentation boards and oral presentations. And looking at portfolio layout could be a good indication of whether this candidate is able to make good presentations. So pay attention to keeping things consistent and making it look aesthetic. For example, if you're making a title page, make sure that your description and the title stays in the same place. Of course, there's never a right answer to making a portfolio, but if you could keep things consistent, or if you're just getting started with your portfolio, it could be a good place to start. And keeping consistency can be done by making a InDesign, master pages, character style, or paragraph styles. If you want to learn how to do that, make sure to check out our video on the top right corner right here. Okay, for number two, consider the delivery method. Traditionally, there has only been one way of delivering your portfolio, which is a print. However, in this day and age, there's actually several ways to do it. And we need to make sure that your portfolio is compatible with all three types. So the three types are uploading it to sharing websites such as Issue. It could be a slideshow PDF or a printed booklet. So if you're uploading it to Issue, export your document as pages. If you're sending it directly as a PDF file, make sure to export it as spreads so that your reader doesn't have to configure their PDF readers. And if you're printing your portfolio, I strongly recommend you use a portrait orientation pages. The reason being that if you use landscape, the page actually becomes way too wide and it becomes impossible to look at the whole content in one site. Unless this is your intention, I strongly recommend you start with the portrait pages and experiment further afterwards. And number three is to be very selective about your personal work. At the end of each portfolio, you get this opportunity to kind of like present your personal work and really make yourself stand out a little bit. And in this unique section, I saw that time and time again, people have this very generic sketches, photography, or art pieces. I strongly encourage you to choose just a couple pieces that can really speak for yourself or makes you really stand out from others. And instead of dedicating maybe like several pages, I strongly recommend you have, say, a couple words that takes up one spread, or put just one or two on the cover pages. And number four is to utilize white spaces. Unless there's a strict limit to the number of pages that your school or employer is asking for, I strongly encourage you to kind of like spread out your work and make it really easy to read page by page. And this allows you to really curate the reading experience and get the readers to read exactly what you want in that correct sequence. And it also makes it very easy for readers to read as opposed to a very cluttered page. You've probably seen those giant wall of text, and those are really not conducive to reading. Make sure to pair up your text with correct diagrams and present little by little so that it creates intrigue for your readers to keep going with your work. Number five tip is to realize that narrative and impression is the ultimate goal. Of course, your layout, your project's layout, and other credentials are very important in making the decisions. In the end, all of these techniques and skills are in the service of making a good impression. Your school or your employer really wants to know that you have the correct skill set and you're responsible and consistent. Having excellent work, consistent layout, and having other kinds of experiences on your resume is just an indirect way of proving to your employer or your school that you have what it takes to be where they are. So keep this in mind when you're curating your portfolio, and make sure to select the right format and projects for the role. And by the way, if you're just starting out your career in architecture and would like to take a right step towards going to companies like BIG and OMA, make sure to check out our Starchitects Bootcamp. It'll be linked in the description below. It's filled with insider information such as exactly what you should do, what to produce, and what to include in your portfolio, and some of the things that you may not have normally thought about if you're applying to other companies. I broke down everything I've done into steps so that you can replicate exactly what I've done to work at BIG and OMA. So make sure to check it out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers!